Hey everybody, it's your girl Success, and I have a really good word for you guys today. I've been working on it all morning since I had my devotions with the Lord, and He dropped it on my spirit. And so I've been trying to put it together in a brief sort of way so that you can get the full impact of it in a short amount of time, right? So we're talking here about, we're talking about the times that we're in right now. We're talking about what people are saying, what we're seeing on social media, what we're seeing in the news, what we're seeing just out in public, whether it's the fear, whether it's the panic, whether it's people praying, whether it's the new world order that people are talking about, whether there's some kind of conspiracy behind all of it. Here is something that the Lord wanted me to share with you guys today. So the conspiracy theory, it remains the same. It's not anything new, because if we go back into the Bible, you will see that from the beginning, it tells us here that in John 10:10, the first part of that verse, which is where I have the A, it tells us that the thief comes to steal, to kill, and to destroy. So just based on just that verse alone and that part of the verse, we should be aware that, hello, this is the enemy's plan for our lives, and this is what he's going to continually try to do throughout our life. So whether we're seeing it in the form of a plague, whether we see it in the form of, senseless shootings and killings and, whatever wickedness we may see on the tube or in media or in magazines, just know that the ultimate goal of the enemy is to steal, to kill, and to destroy us, right? So what we're seeing now is nothing new. I've posted before where there have been other plagues throughout the years, throughout centuries. And so this is nothing new. However, again, the conspiracy theory, if people want to go with a theory, is that the enemy's whole goal is to steal, to kill, and to destroy. I know I've said that like 3 times already, but there's a point, right? Okay, so the definition of a thief, because you guys know I love words and vocabulary. So the definition of a thief is, one definition of a thief is somebody that steals, especially stealthily and secretly, right? So a thief is not going to just come up to you, because that would be a different word altogether. That would be like robbery. That would be mugging. So where that happens, face to face, where that happens, where you're actually aware that something is going on. However, with a thief is doing it in a way that you're not going to know, or hopefully not know, that this is what they're actually trying to accomplish, which is to take something from you, right? So another verse that we can look at in the Bible, it talks about how I can actually bring this two together, whereas I'm talking about a thief and then I'm talking about the devil, which you've heard me use that word, or enemy, right? Interchangeably. So 1 Peter 5:8 says that, be on your guard and stay awake. Your enemy, the devil, is roaring like a lion, sneaking around, trying to find someone to attack. This is a different version of that verse. This is the contemporary English version. So I circled sneaking because it relates to stealthily, it relates to secretly, and it relates to stealing, right? So again, he's not doing it in a way that we are aware. And, maybe you have your testimony, but I know for me, there have been various ways that the enemy, the devil, has come against me, attacked me, or has gotten me to fall in the sight of the Lord. And it's not necessarily something that was so blatant, because again, he's on the down low. So it has been stealthily, it has been secretly, it has been on the down low, it has been strategically, like little by little, piece by piece, until ultimately, it happens. You can check your own life in regards to how he works in your life. He doesn't necessarily use the same methods and the same weapons against you that he's going to use against another person, because we all have our issues. We all have our flaws. We all have things that we are susceptible to. So he knows what to use for each individual, and he will continue to try until it works, because that is his goal, right? So here's point number one. we are warned in advance that the enemy's agenda is to steal, to kill, and to destroy. Right? So his agenda, right here, I wrote right here. And if you're wondering what I'm looking at, I'm also looking at my screen. So we're warned, and based on this knowledge that we're warned about what he is here to do and what his goal is, we can conclude that there's nothing encouraging about his intentions or his motives when it comes to dealing with us. There is nothing good about it, right? So this has been his agenda from the beginning. However, let's see how it applies to the times that we're in right now. So when it comes to steal, the first part of what it talks about in the verse that he does. So he's come to steal. He's come to take away whatever has been given to us, right? Now, some of us might not think that we've been given much of anything, but if you look at your life, if you're able to get up in the morning, if you're able to walk, if you're able to utilize your digits, your limbs, if you're able to think for yourself, if you have a roof over your head, if you have a car to drive when you need it, if you have food in your refrigerator, if you have lights on, if you even listen, there are things that have been given to us because everything belongs to God anyway. So it's been given to us. He has blessed us along the way, some more than others, but it's something that we have that has been given to us. So he is now able to, or he's trying to, this is the enemy, the devil I'm talking about, trying to steal what was given to us. So also some of the things that are not necessarily tangible, your joy. He wants to steal our joy. And there's a verse in the Bible that says that the joy of the Lord is our strength. Now, we just think about that. We don't always think fully about what we're reading or what we're hearing. But this came to mind a long time ago where I was like, listen, where is my joy when I was low on it? Where is my strength? Why am I so weak? And then I realized that the joy had been gone from my life, or whether it was a period of time, whether it was a day, whatever it was, I realized that my strength was waning, and it was a result of the fact that my joy was waning. So if the joy of the Lord is our strength, if you are lacking joy in your life, if that's something that he is depleting from your life, then he is making you weaker and weaker, which makes you more susceptible to an attack, right? Your peace. That is huge, especially nowadays that we're dealing with the whole shut-in. We're dealing with, coronavirus, right? Some people are dealing with anxiety. I posted something about that the other day. Some people are dealing with anxiety. Some people are dealing with depression. Some of these reasons are because where's your peace? You're not able to rely on your faith in God to know and be confirmed that he is able to keep you through this. So your peace is disturbed. And who is disturbing your peace? In this day and age right now, what we're going through, who is disturbing your peace? What is disturbing your peace? And what is the whole goal of disturbing your peace? To get you in a place where you are susceptible again to an attack, and to a place where if you are open, if you are not, protected and you're open, then he is able to come in. And that's when the fiery darts come, right? That's when the weapons of the enemy come in, right? Why? Because he's trying to kill and destroy us. Another thing is your blessings. I talked about, some of the blessings that God has given us. He's trying to steal those things from us. And so some people look at their children as blessings. Some people look at their spouses as blessings. Some people look at their jobs as blessings. Some people have lost their jobs. People are losing loved ones left and right. So again, is this a tactic to get to you? Yes. So again, the conspiracy, as you can see, is evident. So he's come to kill, to steal, to kill, and to destroy. So let's talk about the kill factor. So the kill factor is basically he wants to put to death whatever is alive in you and whatever is alive in your life. So let's see. It could be your drive, your motivation, your desires. Well, if he's stolen your joy and he's messing with your peace, well then there's no wonder your joy, your desire or your drive or your motivation is lacking, is there? And if he can do all of that, then guess what? Now you're depressed. Now you don't want to go out. Now you don't want to work. Now you don't want to mix with your family. You don't have any desire, any drive to even look for a job if you need to find a job. You have no desire to even work on, whatever relationships in your household may be falling apart as a result of whatever we're dealing with now with the whole corona thing, and people losing jobs and people now having to stay at home and become educators with their children. People are now having to do online stuff. And a lot of people I know, including myself, I don't like doing online learning. And so we are being messed with, in many, many ways. And you just have to be aware of this conspiracy that is going on, right? So he's here to put to death whatever is alive in your life. This is just some things that I'm mentioning. You can also look at your own situation to see what is being affected. Okay, so he's come to steal, to kill, and to destroy. So let's talk about the destroy aspect of this verse. So he wants to destroy any chance of you or me accomplishing what God has called us to do. So now if we go back to what he's stealing, what he is, killing in our lives, again, it's all part of his plan. So you no longer have peace. Your faith is, your joy is being, diminished. Your things are being taken from you, whether it's loved ones or your job or otherwise. You have no drive, you have no motivation, you have no desire. So guess what? So now he's gonna try to have you abort the calling or the purpose that God has you here in the first place. And how is he doing that? Because if you're depressed, you're not doing what God wants you to do. If you're anxious and you're having anxiety attacks, you're not doing what God wants you to do. If you have no joy, if you have no peace, you're not doing what God has called you to do. Would you agree? Okay, so let's see what I have here. So he's trying to destroy God's plan for your life, or what God has called you to do. And he's doing that by what? He's destroying your confidence in God. He's telling you and filling your head with all these lies, trying to let you think or come to the conclusion that, what? God is not in this with me. Whereas you've had instances in your past, or maybe even your present, where God has come through for you. So now he's telling these lies and trying to mess with your confidence in, okay, will God do it again for me? Will God be there in the future? And so as a result, now we're trying to take things in our own hands, and we're trying to manipulate our future or manipulate our present so that we can have a future based on our own dealings and our own strength, which he knows is going to mess us up and we're going to fail. So another part of his conspiracy, right? He is trying to destroy our faith in God by feeding us lies. He's trying to destroy our hope. He's trying to destroy our future. He's trying to destroy relationships, whether it's marriage, whether it's loved ones, whether it's our children in our households. It could be in-laws that live with us. It could be just, you don't have to live with you. It could be people that we just contact via phone, right? Because we're not supposed to be actually being around a whole lot of people right now. He's trying to destroy our health. And that's evident in regards to this whole virus, right? Not everybody is succumbing to the virus. Different people are being affected differently with the virus. But still, just the whole notion that you couldn't get the virus is affecting so much in so many people's lives. And I know you agree, so this is nothing new to you. But again, I'm just trying to give you what the Lord gave me today in regards to how this whole conspiracy theory that people are coming up with otherwise, here's a conspiracy theory for you to consider. And that's called the devil. This is called the enemy, and what he's doing and has been doing and is known to do in our lives. But here's the thing. With the fact that there's a conspiracy theory that has not changed, there is also the solution that was provided for us, and that has not changed. So let's go to the same verse, John 10:10. So the beginning of the verse talks about, how the enemy has come to steal, to kill, and to destroy. But the second part of that verse talks about, Jesus says, but I have come that you may have life and more abundantly. Now, I thought that was pretty strategic of God to let us know what the enemy was going to do. And then at the flip side of that, also let us know that he is here as well. So the enemy is not roaming and living and dwelling or, going throughout the earth just on his own without us having some kind of protection, some kind of backup, some kind of shelter, some kind of savior, to help us out. Right? So here's the next point. We are told that there is a solution, right? So just like the enemy, we were warned about the enemy and his intentions and his agenda. We are also to know that that there's a solution as well, and that God's intentions have always been for our good. And how do I know that? Because the Bible tells me so. So his word is full of promises. It talks about his desire for us. It talks about his love for us. It talks about us being restored. It talks about his love and us not being condemned for the things that he knew we would do. It talks about all the things that are for our good and the plans that he has for our life. And all these things, positive things, contradict the enemy's plans and his conspiracy theory. So let's take a look. Again, this is brief. This is not everything that's all inclusive. You just got to read the word for yourself. You got to listen and learn. So let's look at the Lord's agenda. We looked at the enemy's agenda. Let's look at the Lord's agenda. So just like the enemy came to steal, to kill, and to destroy, let's counteract that with what God gives in place of him stealing, right? So God gives what was taken from us. Because when you steal, you take something, right? So now God is giving. So he gives us what was taken from us. So he is the one that can give us back our joy. He is the one that can give us back our peace. He is the one that gives us our blessings, and he still has blessings in store for us, right? So when we go down here, when it comes to, first we looked at steal and kill. So let's look at the second part of that. So he gives life, whereas the enemy is here to kill. God gives life. So he's able to give life to whatever was dead or is dead or has died in our lives, whether it's your drive, whether it's your motivation, whether it's your desires. Again, I'm just referring to the ones that I spoke of earlier when in regards to the enemy. So he is the one that is able to restore that to you. Because he is the giver of life. Just like he raised Jesus from the dead, just like he raised Lazarus from the dead, he has the ability to resurrect the dead things in our lives. Okay? And then the last part with the enemy, we talked about how he is come to destroy. So just as he has a plan to destroy, God has a countermeasure for that. So he's able to restore. He restores so that we can fulfill the calling that's on our lives, because he is anointed, he is appointed, and that's what he does to us so that we can do what we're called to do. He provides us with the tools to accomplish what he's called us to do. And it's whether or not we utilize those, or whether or not we have not engaged those tools, or whether or not we are succumbing to the enemy, who's, again, stealing and killing and destroying whatever it is that God has given us. So when it comes to restoration and restoring, he is the one that can restore our confidence in him, and remind us of all he's already done and what he's able to do. He's the one that's able to restore our confidence in our abilities. He's the one that's able to restore our confidence in our understanding. So a lot of the times, based on where we are, based on all that the enemy has done and what he's taken from us, we get to places where our confidence is lacking, where we second guess our abilities. We second guess what God has already taught us and told us about ourselves and what he's already demonstrated in our lives. And God is able to restore that to us. Thank God for that. He is able to restore our faith in regards to counteracting what the enemy has lied and told us otherwise. He's able to restore our hope. He's able to restore our futures because he is all powerful, because he is God. He is our Alpha and he's our Omega. He knows exactly what we need. He knows exactly what we've been through. So he therefore now knows what is needed and what he needs to provide or do or change or mold or shape in order for us to get to where we need to be in him and how he's created us to be from the beginning of the earth. He's also able to restore relationships. You will hear testimonies of marriages being restored, relationships on your job being restored, relationships with your children being restored. He is also the great physician and he is also the healer. And you have been seeing videos in the media, which are not as prevalent as the other videos of everybody dying, but there are videos of people that are being healed by God through this pandemic that we're dealing with now. But I also, want to, before I, end, I also want to just give you guys something to look at in regards to the enemy versus God right now. So whereas the enemy comes to steal, God comes to bless. And just some verses that I looked up. John 14:27 says, "Peace I leave with you. My peace I give unto you. Not as the world giveth, give I unto you. So let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid." These are some verses that you can write down and you can replay in your mind and meditate on during this season that we're in with this whole virus. Also, that one was in regards to peace, because we talked about how the enemy will steal your peace. Here's another one in regards to joy. John 15:9-11 says this, "As the Father loved me, I also have loved you. Abide in my love. If you keep my commandments," this is Jesus speaking, "if you keep my commandments, you will abide in my love, just as I kept my Father's commandments and abide in his love. These things I have spoken to you, that my joy will remain in you and that your joy may be full." Okay. And here's another one. Romans 15:13 says, "Now may the God of hope," this one's about hope and joy and peace. "Now may the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace in believing, that you may abound in hope by the power of the Holy Spirit." So again, there's not this thing that you want, whether it's hope, whether it's peace, whether it's joy. These are things that you cannot do on your own. You're not going to be able to get it in your own strength. Can you get happiness on your own? Yes. Because the things we do a lot of times make us happy. The things that people say makes us happy. But in regards to joy, they can't give you that. In regards to peace, they can't give you that either. In regards to hope, God is the one that gives you all these things. When it comes to how the enemy comes to kill us versus God giving us life, some verses, not a lot. John 10:10, as you said, as I said, the last part of John 10:10 talks about how Jesus says, "I have come that you may have life and more abundantly." Also, John 3:16, a lot of people know this verse. "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whoever believes in him will not die, but will have everlasting life." So, there are key words here. There's belief in him. One that is not mentioned here is follow, which is not enough to just believe. We also need to follow Jesus, his example. We need to follow him. We need to follow the word. We need to follow the commandments of the Lord. And another thing in regards to destruction, how the enemy comes to destroy, God, on the other hand, is here to restore. Jesus came that we might have life, right? Jesus came, and our belief in him and our faith in him is what restores us to the Father. So Psalm 3:3 says it this way. He says, "But you, O Lord, are always my shield from danger, to give me victory and to restore my courage." So the Lord is restoring. He's here to lift us up. He's here to protect us. He's here to strengthen us. He's here to show us love. And he does that in many ways. And we know about this because it tells us in his word. We know about this because we experience it in our lives. And we know it because we also hear the testimony of others. He also tells us which is giving us hope and restores us and should restore us and should give us hope. He tells us in Jeremiah 29:11, which is a lot of people's favorite verses. He says, for I know the plans that I have for you, plans to prosper you, not to harm you, to give you a future and a hope. So his plans, again, even though the conspiracy from the beginning with the enemy is to steal, to kill, and to destroy, God's plans from the beginning is to give us a future, is to give us a hope. Okay. And another one that I love these verses where Jesus was talking to Simon in Luke 22:31 and 32. He says, Simon, Simon, Satan has asked to have you that he may sift you as wheat. But the next verse says, but I have prayed for you that your faith will not fail. And when you have returned to me, strengthen your brother. This verse came to light to me a while back in realizing that God knew in advance that we were going to mess up. A lot of times we mess up. And unfortunately, and I will say this, growing up, that the church appeared to be a bunch of people that are perfect in that they have this walk all together. But it is not true. Do not believe the hype. God knew that because even in as perfect as some of us may look in our walks, we have the propensity to fall. And so God knew this. And so he said that Jesus said he has already prayed for us. He knew we are going to do it. If you haven't, you will. And he said, but he's already prayed. And that when you fail, when you fall, he said, but when you return to me, because those of us who believe and have that relationship, even when we fall, and we may go away for a while, we know because it will come back to us what we've been taught and what we knew and how we lived. And he's like, but when you come back, he goes, strengthen your brother. And that's where our testimony comes in. So for us to fall and not, be able to share a testimony, we make it look like we never fall, and we make it look like we have it all together when we don't. All right. And I want to, last but not least, this is a verse or scripture that I have heard at numerous funerals. And I never understood why people wait till somebody is buried in the ground to say Psalm 23, when Psalm 23 is so amazing. If you read it the wrong way, you're not going to get the full meaning of it. And I cannot even go into it. I taught a class on it, but I can't do that right now. So what I want to do is I just want to go over it just a little bit. So it starts with, the Lord is my shepherd. And there's a semicolon there. There's a pause. People and I used to read it like one continuous sentence, but that's not it. Even though it's written like one long run-on sentence, if you take it in segments or, within each punctuation, then you'll get the full meaning. So the Lord is my shepherd. He is the shepherd. And if you think of a shepherd, you know what a shepherd is here to do. Again, I'm not going to go into it. So the Lord is my shepherd, and it says, I shall not want. So there's no need for you to want because he's shepherding over you. And so I keep doing this, right? And so he's there. So the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. Green pastures, right? That means fertility, right? That means something is flourishing. It's green. He leads me beside still waters. Still waters to me is something that is calm. It's not turbulence like the whitewater rafting. He restores my soul, meaning that there are times when we're going to need restoration. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. So, we're claiming to be Christ-like Christians, and therefore we need to live a life, and he's going to give us the tools and the ability to do so that because we're representing him, is his name. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. And I love this part. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. It's a shadow. And if you see your shadow, it's not you, it's a shadow of you, right? It's not necessarily you though. So death may come, but it's not necessarily coming at that moment because it's a shadow of death. I will fear no evil. We who are believers and who rest in him, we know we have a different understanding of what death is like. For you are with me. He's with us. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. Shepherds have a rod and a staff, and both are for the well-being of the sheep. They comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Are you kidding? You anoint my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Blessings. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Just saying all of that, and I'm still thinking, why do people read this when the person's already gone and in the grave? We need to know this above ground. We need to know this now. And so that's all I have. It's really succinct, it's really brief, and I just wanted to tell you what the Lord was sharing with me this morning since I got up. And I just hope it's a blessing to you. I just want you guys to be encouraged during this time and just know that even with all that's going on, God has a solution. All right. He has never failed, and he's not going to start now. So be encouraged.